cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, friends? Daniel Dopp here from the Fantasy Focused Football Podcast over on ESPN.
It's Fabs here, Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated.
Hey fans, this is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
You know who you can trust? If you've got some questions about your fantasy squad,
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do you want to lose your league? If you want to check out a cool show on YouTube that'll help you get ready for the fantasy football season,
check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
check out the Get Right Fantasy Network. You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
Get you right. Enjoy the show.
And I'm getting down cause I run my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I run my sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I run my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I get.
Yo, what up? What up? It's your boy. Welcome to another episode of The Extra Point. I am your host, as always, Phil Ruskin, joined by two of my favorites, two of the best in the business, Kendall Vanderbilt from the Fantasy Football Tavern, and our own classic Mike from Get Right Fantasy Network. What's up, fellas? How's the day been? Happy Friday Eve. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers. I'm sure there's lots of moms watching the show tonight.
Hopefully.
We can only hope. We can only hope. But yeah, man, how's that, Kendall? Good day for you, man? Just fun Friday or what?
Yeah, fun Friday. Today was the my 3-year-old came home in a bit of a mood, and I had my first, all right, I'm gonna go take like some power tools. I found a hammer, and I just needed to buy an hour to get dinner done. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna smash rocks on concrete, like back in the day.
Sounds
like me
great.
growing up. I'm like, this is some cheap, and he went from the most, unholy little demon to just the happiest kid alive. So I had such a parenting win at like 5:30 when my wife was melting down. It's the best trade I've ever pulled off. It was something, and now I get to talk some football with my boys. I'm feeling it. I'm actually doing my my startup rankings right now too.
Nice.
They're not finished, so this is how I'm going to finish them. Is watching. This is going to be fun. So I'm fired up. How about you?
We're good, man. It's a good. I'm always fired up for these. Like, how can you not be? You get a chance to draft. You get a chance to see the board. Look, it's the first one. As if y'all are new to the show, we do these every Friday night. That's probably, to be fair, that's like kind of how the show started with Friday Night Mocks and kind of how we started to build up a good following. So we will have these all summer long. But this is the first one we've done. So I'm curious to see where the rookies go tonight. I know we were talking backstage. Tonight is a single quarterback league. So our quarterback's going to go early? Are they going to go mid-range? Or guys, just because it's only 11 rounds and normally you'd have a much larger dynasty roster, are you just not going to take a quarterback? And then we can talk that out. So, yeah, I'm stoked for it. And Mike, how you feeling? I mean, ready for – you got the 101 here in a minute.
I'm
bring the board up. So, nice.
Excited. No, doing good. It's a recovery Friday. Played softball for the first time in 3 months, so my shoulder is about to fall off my body at this point. But beyond that,
summer is upon us, man. I feel like it's like time for summer softball leagues. For you got people going out. I mean, out in California, you got people out on the golf course, on the boat, out at the beach. Like, all right, enough. Everyone wants to do this thing. We all want to do this thing too. Tonight, we are going to do a one quarterback league. The roster settings, we're only going to go 11 rounds, but the roster settings are 2 running back, 2 receivers, double flex, single tight end, and 3 bench spots. That will be our 11 tonight. It is full PPR. It is a 12-team league. For those that are listening on Spotify or Patreon and you can't see the board, we will do our very best to let you know who's still available. We'll also talk through who has been picked as a quick recap. It's 30 seconds on the clock tonight for everybody, so this should go pretty quickly, and then it'll leave us plenty of time at the end to break it all down. And obviously stay tuned because we will give you all the analysis, good picks. There's no bad picks, but good picks. Who was a reach? What are some outcomes? I know we've already got some questions in the chat. We will get to it all. So, Mike, if you want to bring the board up for the listeners at home, again, 12 team. And Mike, you are on the clock here with the 101. Make sure you guys are on mute there with your bell so we don't have to hear you.
Yep.
Every time. And if you are ready, Mr. Herrick.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. I have a feeling I know who's going to go, but maybe there'll be a big surprise, and Aaron Rodgers will be the 101.
This is not 2016.
No, it is not. It was Jamar Chase. Big surprise.
Let's just stick with the guy. Can't not. I mean,
safety first.
I mean, he's connected to his quarterback for at least another 3-4 years. It's the safest pick in this whole draft. I'm going to take it.
Yeah. You can't not. For those that are not able to see the board, Mike is going to be drafting from the 101 tonight. It is a true Dynasty startup snake format, so he will not be back on the clock until the 212. So he's got the long wait, but he also starts his draft with Jamar Chase. Kendall and I will be drafting at the 105 and 106 back to back, which we don't always love for the sake of content. We'd love to be spaced out, but we may, Kendall and I generally think fairly similarly. We may end up sniping each other a few times, but that's why we mock, because you're going to get sniped in your real drafts at home, and you got to prepare for the chaos, man.
You're going to see two people argue over like 1% of value, though. It is definitely going to be us. No doubt.
And without further ado, Mr. Vanderbilt, you are on the clock at the 105 with Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, and Jahmyr Gibbs off the board here with the first 4 picks. 3 receivers and a running back, again, full PPR. It is half point tight end premium. The rankings didn't reflect that completely. But
that's sleeper. You can't do anything about that.
So CD Lamb going to Kendall here at the 105, full PPR. For me, that is a tier break at wide receiver. So it is time for Mr. Robinson.
Yep.
And there he is.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah. Brock Bowers at the 107. Interesting. We'll talk about that one. Big Chungus talking about half tight end premium, but interesting pick because he's tight end 1 last year on the season and not a ton of receiving competition in Las Vegas. Amon-Ra St. Brown off the board at the 108, followed by BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr. at the 109. I don't know, guys. Are there any? I feel like BTJ, obviously, we saw a ton last year, but are we ready for the year 2 breakout? Or are we just expecting him to just kind of pick up where he left off and be that good again? I don't know if that's really a breakout. I feel like he broke out. So
he's
we're getting around this draft here. Thoughts, Kendall, real quick. Thoughts on BTJ going into year 2 in Liam Cohen's new offense?
Pretty clear. Top 5, top 7. There's kind of this flat tier of really, really, really good wide receivers inside the top 10 where I don't want to pick a ranking for him, but he is solidly inside of that. And I don't think he'll ever leave. 2 things I'll give for him. One, he's an elite red zone threat. Travis Hunter as well, but that's always going to keep him pretty happy. And he did so much with yards after the catch, and he always will. So, if he has certain route trees that are less favorable for him, if he can get like a DK treatment that's not so favorable, the fact that he can still do stuff with, he can just score in so many ways. If it's a chuck at 50-50, he has it. He can play big slot too and things like that. He's too versatile to just not be locked and loaded. He's just going to go get it in the same way that Amon-Ra sometimes works short, sometimes works a little bit long. He's just too technical and talented. He's that, but more physical. So I think he's as safe. Honestly, I was debating between CD and BTJ there. I'm pretty close in my rankings to just moving BTJ up because I do think within 1 year, CD is going to turn 27. BTJ is going to be turned 24. It's enough of a break that I think they're close enough, 2-3 points per game. I would rather take the extra 2 years of youth or 2.5 years or whatever it is. He's moving up my boards.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of where he lands kind of in that top 5, top 6. I'm on the clock here, so give me 1 second because I have been sniped. Marvin Harrison going off the board, which is another tier break at receiver. So I might do something and just kind of play with this draft here and
do something you won't do.
Do something I won't do just for the sake of seeing how it goes.
I like it.
But yeah, I want to see how this goes and what this roster looks like. So go ahead and give me the rookie here. Go ahead and give me Omari and Hampton. It's a dynasty startup draft. I want youth. I want some youth in this team, and I've got it. So starting running back, not normally, you guys know this, not normally how I would start. I'm a big wide receiver guy. No, it's not me at all. But I want to see what this roster looks like and see if I can construct something I would feel okay with from the middle of the draft, which is a hard spot to draft from.
I like it.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm big on Hampton. I'll be honest, man. I know we haven't had a chance to really
another
rookie going.
I mean, Genty went at the 110, so I mean, he was the first rookie off the board.
That's pretty close. I was thinking about Hunter there. I went with the safer play, I think, but that was pretty close. I was pretty close between. I was thinking about going weird with you and maybe taking a Trey McBride there and seeing how it felt, because I haven't done something like that yet, but couldn't have the courage. That was a Hunter McMillan pick for me. I'm going to explore just how I like going super young, and we'll see how it happens.
You guys are
interesting with Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson going off the board. So 2 second-round quarterbacks. Josh Allen went at the 111. So QB 2 and 3 with Trey McBride as tight end 2 off the board to Aiden White, and Mike is back on the clock for 2 picks here on the turn. Victorious in the chat here, fellas. As soon as Mike makes this pick, we'll have a little bit of time. I do want to talk about this one because he's already been drafted here at the turn. Where are we ranking Drake London? Hardest player to rank for me, and he doesn't seem talked about much. That's Victorious's question. Mike, I'll start with you since you just picked, and you'll have the longest wait here with Breece Hall and Bucky Irving going to your team. Where do you have Drake London?
I mean, I haven't done my rankings yet right off the bat, but from last year finishing, he finished at wide receiver 5, with 100 yards, 100 receptions with 158 targets with, 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. That was with Kirk Cousins and a rookie. Yeah. And the rookie's now going to be taking over. I mean, the last few games with Drake London, he did pretty well overall. I mean, I remember him. Yeah, he ended up getting, 13 targets, 18 targets in the last 2 games, with 7 and 10. That's going to clean itself up a little bit. Those numbers don't look great on paper because, 13 of 7 is not, the best number I want to see. But that will definitely clean up as, Penix, and him get a little bit more acquainted. I think that's a great little snapshot. Remember, this is a very small, very little snapshot. He's still a very talented wide receiver. So I'm pretty high on him in general. I wanted him. I picked up a bunch of London in a couple of orphans that I had because I'm really interested to see how he's doing. I'm trying to buy him in a couple of places too because of how I would say underrated that he is, and a lot of people aren't really high on him at this moment. So I've been trying to buy him in a lot of spots, with the rookie unsure, this year's sophomore quarterback. But yeah, I'm interested. I definitely like him a lot.
Kendall, he's the wide receiver 8 off the board in this draft. First pick of the second round at the 201. If you look at this board and see some of the names that are on it, is that about the right spot for him, or would you move him higher or lower than wide receiver 8?
It's about right. I typically have him just ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7 for me in Dynasty wide receiver. I can't get him above the Puka BTJ, and I think he's sort of tied with Amon-Ra, if I had to be honest, but I'm giving him a slight bump due to the age discrepancy. So that's kind of where he settles for me. The big tier break for me is Nico. I'm a little bit out on Nico. I'm not out on him. I'm just slightly lower on him. Big difference. Not out, just more out. There's a lot of good guys behind him, and it's thin, right? So we're not out on any of them, right? But it's like I'm moving Ladd ahead of Nico. I think that whole offense levels up in a little bit of a better way. I'm viewing JSN a little closer to Nico now, so that's just kind of how that range looks for me. But yeah, I think Drake London is only weird to rank because I think he feels like he's in between 2 tiers. There's like the hype. They're like, is he in that hyper you can't touch him level, or is he just under that in like the Marv, Ladd, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson like? No, they're touchable. They're not imperfect, right? There's flags on the field, so to speak, right? Are we anointing him or not? I think that is why he's weird. We haven't decided yet. This is his are you the guy or are you not season, right? Because new quarterback, we'll see how he does. He finished last season on an absolute tear with the new quarterback play. I mean, he didn't know how to get under 100 yards. So if that was anything for what's to come, wide receiver 5 might be low. We'll see.
I actually think he's right in line with where he needs to be, a wide receiver 8. I also have him above Nico because of Nico's injury concerns. I think at the end of the day, we've got questions about, is Stroud going to be the rookie of the year candidate we saw, or is he going to be the year 2 guy that we saw? Penix has never had a full season, so there's quarterback questions there. But you just don't have a lot in Atlanta that's changed offensively.
Yeah.
Pitts is still there. Bijan is there. Algier is there. London is there. So there's just nothing for me really that says major target competition. There's going to be issues with XYZ. I feel like at the end of the day, it's still Drake London's offense, and the majority of it should flow through him and Bijan. I'm with you, Kendall. I can't get him above Puka. I can't get him into that kind of upper echelon tier with Amon-Ra and BTJ. So I think he's right where he should be. So I'm comfortable with him at wide receiver 8. I'm also comfortable with him as my wide receiver 1. If I start, running back. If I start receiver, tight end premium, maybe I want to go and get, like Big Chungus here on the clock with Bowers. So if I start in a different way, I'm okay kind of falling back into that Drake London pick as my de facto wide receiver 1. So as we get into the 4th round here, teams are starting to take shape. Pretty balanced draft, kind of what I would expect. Our guy Mike NFMTR did start with 4 receivers, so he will be in the running back market shortly. But Amon-Ra, McConkey, Rashee Rice, and Emeka Egbuka. So
why did people do
wide
this?
receiver room.
Why did people let this happen? I blame all of you.
Well,
I blame you all.
What did we do
for
here?
letting that happen?
Oh boy, you're right. So for those that can't see the board, Mike at the 412 starts with Jamar Chase, Breece Hall, Bucky Irving, and now he is on the second half of his turn, but he has paired Mr. Chase with his good buddy, Mr. Burrow. So he has the Bengals stack, and then he comes around the turn with Terry McLaurin to fill out his wide receiver room. So a nice team for Mike there, some youth in the running back room, obviously the number 1 receiver in the league, and we were talking about it backstage. I think Joe Burrow has a chance to be the overall QB1 this season. The Bengals defense is going to be atrocious. They just re-signed Jamar Chase. They re-signed T. Higgins. There's not a tight end that's really going to take targets away. Chase Brown was fantastic, and he does catch passes. Gesicki's
Don't talk slander about Mike Gesicki.
Mike Gesicki is a body. He's a big body, but he's going to help Joe Burrow. He's not going to hurt Joe Burrow.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm a big Gesicki fan. I've always been a fan of him. In his day, from his days in Miami, and I thought he was always a really good tight end that was just undervalued in a system that never wanted to throw to the tight end. So for me, it's good to see him being a part of a system that he can do well. I was actually a big fan of, oh God, what the hell was his name until he got booted?
Kendall, Matthew Golden.
Ooh, interesting. 2 rookies.
Interesting.
So a little bit of strategy with, to talk about if you guys want to talk about strategy for a minute for Dynasty startups, how do you guys feel about the concepts of going rookie heavy comparatively to like a more balanced approach? Like how do you guys feel about those particular types of, builds?
Kendall, I'll start with you because your roster real quick. We'll read it off for those that can't see the board. CeeDee Lamb at the 105, at the second round, Tep McMillan, Travion Henderson, KW3, and in the 5th round, Matthew Golden. So 3 rookies on your roster. So go ahead, Kendall. You can start with that question.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably our in-house ageist. I'd probably draft the youngest. I tend to trade vets before they even seemingly become vets. You call me DiCaprio might be my pet name around here because as soon as they hit 25, they're just too old for me. So fast.
Oh, I love it.
Here's my thing: the way I typically play Dynasty is I've never tried to win in year 1. I pretty much almost always do what I call like a year 0 rebuild, which isn't a rebuild, but I like to get a feel for who is doing what. I feel like every league is its own marketplace, is its own mini thing. And that just means setting. It just means how people interact, social games. It's a little bit of a game of Survivor, right? It's talent, but it's also what's happening in that league. I want to draft young because I just want to buy myself some time to figure out what is going on in the league. It is really easy to, let's say I'm a fringe playoff team with the young guys. It's not difficult to go trade for a good veteran in week 8, 9, 10 if I think I'm close to a solid run and I can go make that happen. I can go pick up Devontae Adams is one of my favorite vets to go get. I'm not going to draft him, though. I'm going to draft young so that halfway through year 0, year 1, call it what you will, I can take my young player, flip him to anyone that starts off poorly because he's now elevated in value. the player I'm buying is now suppressed in value from the rookie draft, and I get to profit just a little bit on circumstantial trading. So that's why I'm always going to lean younger, even if it looks value negative for an entire year, because I can almost promise you going into year 2, I'm working my entire league and my trades and the way I'm doing it to make that make sense. But it's just the way I prefer to play.
Okay.
I'm similar in the sense that I'm very comfortable. I'm more comfortable than most leaning on rookies. Okay. I think a lot of people who are, I won't say risk averse, but I think there's plenty of folks out there who just don't want rookies. They'd rather trade for them after they develop, and rather than invest all of their early capital into that. And that's fine. There's no right way to play. Yeah. There's a lot of wrong ways to play Dynasty and to play fantasy. There's no right way to do it, right? But like you, Kendall, I don't really generally try to win in year 1, but I'll read my team off real quick because I do have a healthy mix here. I've got Bijan Robinson and Omari and Hampton as my 2 running backs to start the draft. And then I went 3 wide receivers with A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, and DJ Moore. And then I just came back with David Montgomery. So I'm 3-3 positionally right now. I do have a little bit of age in my receiver room. And I've got 2 young running backs with kind of a middle contract, middle of his road, Cliff Montgomery, but still a very valuable player. My thought is if I'm contending and some of these rookies hit, Kendall, like you, I can trade away some picks to go grab some guys. If it doesn't look like a playoff year, a lot of teams could take A.J. Brown off my hands late in the season, and he'd still be a very valuable piece for a playoff contender, and I'd probably get a good pick in return for it. So, I think if you're overly invested in your rookies, they have to hit. That's the scary part of it, right? If you're going to go so rookie heavy that you've just mortgaged everything to grab the most youthful players, then you either have to trade them for value or they've got to turn out and pan out to put some points on your board, or it's going to be a long way back.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to talk about my style, because we all seem to have our own style of doing things and what we're looking for. I've never been against having a rookie, but for me, it's one of those things that I would prefer guys that are a little bit more, or they have a better path than most. I know that's what we all want. Guys like, Genty, if I had the ability to get him at the end, for a little bit more value at running back, someone like him, I don't think this draft really had any, chases, if you will, at wide receiver. So, there's a lot of uncertainty for me for this particular draft for the wide receiver group. And, there's a good amount of rookies that I like in the running back group. Overall, when I do my particular drafts, of course, I'm looking for age, but I'm also looking for production. As you see, I went with, Breece Hall. He's 23 years old. Right. He might have been in the league for the last 3 years, but, he's still, and coming off the ACL from one of them, he's still a elite running back, regardless of what room he's got. I understand that they have Braylon Allen behind him and Nate Davis and all that, but at the end of the day, he's still going to be heavily involved. And Bucky Irving showed a great promise last year. Young kid, like him as well. I picked up Tyrone Tracy, as you can see. So I like being a little bit younger at my running back position. I don't mind kind of spreading it all over for the wide receivers. There's going to be plenty of value later on in the draft for these guys, especially, for some older guys. So yeah, I might be a little top heavy at the age group, but I can definitely find a little more value later on because wide receiver is a lot deeper in these types of leagues than running back. So I rather load up on the guys at running back that I'm really higher on. The guys, I can find the wide receiver talent a little bit lower. I was scrolling down. I'm like, I found like 3 guys that I could pick, probably won't get drafted in the 11 rounds that we're doing, but I can still find something.
I think that's an important point, right? Like you have to consider that number one, it's a mock, right? We're not drafting exactly the way that we would perfectly do it. It's probably close, right? But I mean, I started in running back, which I never do, right? And I'm also in the middle of the draft, which is a very difficult place to draft from because you're literally waiting the longest on each side of your picks with no turn.
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
yeah. But at least you have the double pick, or at least you've got the 2 and you've got Jamar Chase. The other piece I think is interesting for us to talk about, and there's a question in the chat that I'm going to segue to here in just a second. I do find a lot of times that I really want to get positionally, especially at the running back position, someone that's foundational,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So even if, let's say it was my draft, right? Obviously, most of the time I'm gonna start pretty wide receiver heavy. Bijan for me is still someone I can't pass up. It's foundational. He's going to be a great player. He is a great player already. 100%. He's going to be a great player for the rest of this rookie contract. I like both of you and probably most of the league, expect him to get paid and get a second contract, whether it's in Atlanta or somewhere else.
Yep.
So to me, it's like I'm okay with taking flyers on some other guys if I know I have a foundational piece. I took Omarion Hampton here. I believe in the kid personally. I think he's going to be great in that offense. It's a Jim Harbaugh offense. It's a run-first system. Should be lots of touchdown upside. He's a 100%. Beast of a man. But the kid could bust. He's a rookie. He could be absolutely atrocious. We don't know yet. We don't believe that. No. Draft capital says that he's going to be someone that the Chargers are heavily invested in him finding success. But I think you also have to kind of look at, again, what is your risk tolerance? So Aiden Max White, great question. Love this question. I want to debate this with you guys here. As soon as Mike makes his picks, we will get into this. He wants to know, what are your views on opportunity versus talent when it comes to taking rookies? So Kendall, since Mike's about to be on the clock, why don't you start us off with that one? Opportunity versus talent when it comes to taking rookies.
So this also matters positionally, Aiden. That's probably the first thing that I would say is, there's kind of a thing in the NFL where they're all really talented, right? The gap when you get from college to good versus bad, it's different in the NFL, right? They're all professional athletes. They're all extremely good. So oftentimes, much like in the business world, sometimes if you just catch your boss's eye early, you are fast-tracked into greater opportunity. And you have to screw it up because you're on the track, right? It's where it comes from. It's where that phrase comes from. So landing spot does matter quite a bit. I'm at that landing spot is a little bit more of it's the tiebreaker. I'm mostly going on talent, but the NFL draft talks to us about talent, right? So we don't need to be the best talent evaluators. Oh, what are you saying there, Mike?
Oh, someone was asking about who's the Bears fan.
Yeah, that would definitely be Phil. It's definitely not.
yeah, exactly.
I hate figuring out which way to point. I got to put like a little sticky up saying point this way for that way.
Yeah.
Yes. Kendall is the Bears fan, as evident by his wall there behind him with the Bears and the coach. So, nice. Kendall, you are on the clock here. 10 seconds to go.
For me, it's a little bit of both. For the question that we were talking about before, when it comes to the opportunity and talent, I think opportunity outweighs a little bit the talent sometimes, and it's really based on the scenarios. Like we were talking about Hampton before. He's still got Najee ahead of him, which I'm not saying Najee's a world beater, but he's still a viable back in a system that could work for him, especially with the run-heavy offense. For me, he could eventually turn into, in the next 2 years or 3 years, be something special in that particular offense. Najee only has a couple years left. So for a guy like Hampton, it's great. Ted McMillan, is another guy that I look at where he is, in a system with a bunch of other younger wide receivers, except for Adam Thielen. But everybody else is a pretty young wide receiver. He's very talented, and he has an opportunity. I try to look a little bit more for both where I can find it. And in this, I didn't have anything fall to me. So to be honest, I have no one to compare it to. Travis Hunter, I'm not, I'm not sold on yet. But like other guys, I'm trying to think.
Travis Hunter is hard for me still. So let me just say this, because I've said it before. I am rooting hard for the kid to succeed in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From a historical perspective, from a talent and athleticism perspective, I want him to play both sides of the ball, and I want him to succeed on both sides of the ball, because we haven't seen it since Dion, and it's truly an amazing feat athletically. So 100%. me as a former coach, just wants the kid to succeed.
Yeah.
From a fantasy perspective, again, we've talked about this. If he does play on both sides of the ball, his ceiling is naturally lowered. I don't care how good he is. I think he's the best wide receiver in the draft. I do agree with that he probably is the best talented receiver in this draft. I also agree with what you said earlier, Mike. I don't see a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson in this draft.
No. Not at all. There's
I think
I
think these running backs, I think Genty could easily, and what we are drafting him to be is the next Bijan and Gibbs, or at least in that tier.
Yeah, but he definitely shows that particular style.
But that's my point. I think we have more confidence that Genty is going to produce the type of numbers that is being equated to his draft capital, both in the rookie draft, and you see him here in a startup going at what did he go, 110?
110, yeah.
Yeah. So I think to me, that's a kind of player where we're saying, I project you out to be this kind of a player.
Yeah.
Whereas these receivers, like even the NFL was saying, McMillan was not projected to go 8th overall.
No.
It wasn't. So Carolina obviously thinks he's got all the answers and answers the questions, but people said Hunter was the better receiver. People said McMillan was the best receiver. They said, could Egbuka be the best receiver in this class? I think he could. Egbuka was actually the number 1 receiver on my board.
He was for me too. And that was going to be my next point, is a guy like Egbuka, he's in a situation where he's got to wait at least 2 years to be, or an injury to even be ready to be out there with, you have a Hall of Famer in Mike Evans, you have, Godwin coming back from an injury. And then you do have a guy like who I picked, Jalen McMillan, who ended up having a really good rookie season. So it's one of those things or a really good end of the rookie season. So, he's due for his sophomore push and all that. So there's a lot of situational things that can come up. And I do think he has, in this case, he has the talent, but not the opportunity yet. So, like, he's a player on the other end of that spectrum, to be honest.
Sorry, I'm on the clock here.
No, you're good.
No, you're okay. I got a pick there. I was gonna. So I got a quick pick here. Not a big deal. We're gonna go ahead and pop that off the board. I don't know why he's still available.
Oh, I like it.
Oh,
I like it.
Yeah, you do. That's you guys let me have that one. I want to get back to Aiden's question, because I had to pick randomly, and I had to kind of finish off there. So, and here's my thing. This is from a fantasy perspective, right? The way I play the game is I don't need to be the best talent evaluator. If my league mates want to try and be, good for them, right? They're going to be right and they're going to be wrong, but the NFL will tell you who they think is good. Your job in fantasy is, you want to make your own evaluations, but it's also just listening to the people in the room. So I tend to be landing spot and like NFL conversation over talent, because one, I'm just going to trust the NFL and their scouts over myself 10 times out of 10. I might have a spicy pick or take or scheme fit or something, right? But I'm just not going to have the hubris to say like, oh, I love this guy, so I'm going to take him. He got drafted 3 rounds later than this guy, but I really liked him in the prospect profile. So that point alone, when you look at after the draft, it changes everyone's rankings, right? We don't say, no, I was right. We change it dramatically. And the fact that we change it dramatically means the fantasy community cares more about landing spot than it does talent. Talent is much more of a tiebreaker later on. The way we draft in Dynasty, typically tiebreakers are who went earlier in the draft. You'll see that in rookie drafts for sure. It will, if it's between 2 players, it's usually whoever's going to take is going to go for whoever went first in the draft. So because of that, landing spot definitely matters. Jaden Blue is an okay running back, but his landing spot's fantastic, right? He's got the chance to like really do something. So he's getting elevated over better prospects that went to worse landing spots, because look, they might be a better running back, but they're just in a situation where their talent's not going to matter as much. If that makes sense, right? Everybody in the NFL is talented.
Yeah, I'm with you. To me, the talent does make a difference in landing spot, because you can have high value targets in a low volume system, right? That's what we talk about with the Chargers players all the time. Ladd McConkey literally made his living last year off of high value targets in a volume system that was not nearly what the Ravens were throwing it, or the Bengals were throwing it, in the propensity to throw every. Oh, sorry, I'm on the clock. Who do I want? K-Dot. We'll move on with that. So to me, it's like you still have to be good, right? Because I go back to this, and we talked about this, guys, and we'll talk about it again for 30 seconds here. Everybody was so hot and bothered the minute that Alexander Mattison and Miles Sanders became quote unquote starters, with the trade to the Panthers for Sanders plus the contract after having really never been in like a true workhorse and the guy in Philly. And then Madison, obviously, with Aaron Jones. Who left? My brain just went blank.
No,
Aaron Jones came in. Who left?
Ty Chandler left, and they brought in Mason.
No, but who was? Oh, Dalvin Cook. Sorry, Dalvin Cook was. Yeah. I was like someone who's not even in the league. I was like, I had to rack my brain there for a second. When Dalvin Cook left,
he was still
right.
a player.
But again, look what happened. If you bought Madison and Sanders, or if you started a startup draft with Madison and Sanders banking on the fact that those guys, because of opportunity, were going to be the guys, your dynasty team is crushed right now. Crushed.
So, I would add a lot of that is pay attention to contracts. If you want to level up your dynasty game, pay attention to contracts and just talk to people in conversations that are a little bit sharper. I had to do that to level when I was in that, like when I was going from like I'm crushing it in redraft, I'm winning a lot of leagues well above average. I got into dynasty. I really didn't know how to evaluate talent versus contracts. Because it's also, they might go to a new team. That might be a different situation. That's good and bad for different types of positions, right? It just changes the dynamic, and it helps you sharpen your picks just a little bit. So that's one thing I'll say. And you get your point, Puka, right? In terms of, you got him a little bit early. I still see that this year with like Torrey Horton is kind of my Puka of this year. He's going to a situation where he's talented. He's going to have opportunity. You got to look at it in a full, like 1 year ahead window. Who on the team has a contract that is talented, but is probably going away, right? Like Cooper Kupp is a big name, but he's a temporary fill-in. He could get re-signed. I doubt it happens. So you can really look at him as a 1 year from now wide receiver 2, unless nothing happens, right? That's similar-esque to what happened to Puka. You're like, I don't know. I think he's talented, but if you look at if he's just halfway decent in this good quarterback, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing you have to remember, you brought it up, and it's a really good point, is follow the money. The contracts will speak, right? And look, just like a draft where people make the wrong pick or you get the pick wrong, sometimes you pay the wrong guy, right? We've all seen some of these contracts. So and so has one good season. I mean, the perfect example is Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. Mike, sorry, I'm going to pick on Daniel Jones for a second here because they paid the wrong guy. Daniel Jones did not do fucking shit to get the Giants to the playoffs. Saquon Barkley did. But they paid Jones like he was the guy, and now all of a sudden they can't get out of that contract. They're upside down on quarterbacks. Meanwhile, Barkley goes to an in-division rival and wins the Super Bowl and got paid. So I think everybody can make a mistake. GMs are no different. But at the end of the day, the majority of what you want to be following is the contract situation, because contracts do two things. Number one, the capital at the financial investment that the team is making is saying, we got to get you the ball because we're paying you to be the guy. Number two, the years, right? We talk about some of these contracts. Are there voidable years? Everybody was so out last year on Josh Jacobs in Green Bay. It's a 1 year deal. Jacobs is toast. Jacobs is not going to be anything. Don't draft Marshawn Lloyd. He's going to be the guy. Marshawn Lloyd spends the year on IR. Josh Jacobs was the focal point of that offense, and he was fantastic, and he bounced back to what we saw in Las Vegas. So guess what? It's not a 1 year contract. It's a 3 year deal. And the Packers could have gone either way and been like, if he had sucked, the Packers had the perfect out either way. If Jacobs had sucked, they could be like, well, we knew that he wasn't very good, and we structured the contract so we didn't, it was a team-friendly contract, and boom, we get rid of him. Now they're running around saying, hey, we love him. Look at this guy just did for us. We're going to keep him for 2 more years. So I love the comment about keeping the contracts in play. I know we've got some stuff in the chat. Guys, please remember that we do have super chats. So if you are really wanting to get your question answered and you want us to stop what we are doing and answer it, go ahead in that super chat. You can throw us a couple bucks in there and we will do that. I think this is on my stream, so maybe we don't have super chats on this one now that I realize that.
Possibly, yes.
Possibly, but on the main show.
But it's also
streaming tonight. It's
streaming on the other one too.
We see you though.
So there you go. But yes, we will get to you. We would love to make sure we get all of these questions answered. So let's do a couple questions since I know we've had some folks waiting.
Why don't we go back?
We will break down.
I was going to say, why don't we go back to the very top from the first one, because John was been very patient and we wanted to really talk about this.
Yeah, we
will get addicts. I did see you. We will get to you. Don't worry.
So John Nickel, great question. Have you guys talked about the Pickens trade? If not, how does it affect your ranking of him and DK? So I assume everyone that's watching and listening to this show knows. For those that don't, George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys this week, which leaves DK Metcalf as the only competent player in the receiving room in Pittsburgh with no quarterback to throw him the ball. So I'm not sure how that's going to happen. Maybe he'll just play Wildcat under center and DK.
Jason Rudolph is the one throwing it.
For now. For now.
Jalen Warren's got a good arm, I hear.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe they'll have like tryouts or something. Anyway, we have not talked about it. So, Mike, let's start with you. George Pickens. Let's start with the George Pickens side of it, and then Kendall, I will throw you the DK side. But Mike, George Pickens going to Dallas. Where do you see him, and does it help or hurt anybody in that offense?
I mean, honestly, he's not someone that I'm looking to pick up. I think it's more of it's a better football move, like real football move, than it is a fantasy move, to be fair.
Agreed.
He's still going to a good team. You know, he's still going to a competent quarterback. They are rebuilding their line. They do have CD. He's really a piece to kind of take away a little bit of coverage from CD to kind of keep everything balanced. Like I said, he kind of balances the roster a little bit because he is a competent wide receiver too, in an NFL system. I think he can do well as long as he is, he gets his shit together. Other than that, I don't really see him being anything special. For me, he's probably a wide receiver 3, mid wide receiver 3 with like low wide receiver 2 upside. I mean, that's about like the highest compliment I could give him, to be fair. I'm not really high on George Pickens as a whole, to be quite honest. So I think he can live in that particular spot. But for now, like I said, it's more of a real football move than it is a fantasy move.
So in this draft, Kendall, I'll get to you in just a second with the DK side of the house. But in this draft here, he went at the 604. So going at the earlier part of the 6th round. Here's some players that were around him receiver-wise. Jamison Williams starts the round. Tyreek Hill, the 603. And then we don't see another receiver come off the board until the end of the round here at the 611 with Jerry Jeudy. Look, Pickens has finished wide receiver 39, 30, and 42. I understand the challenges he's had in Pittsburgh, but he was the wide receiver 1 in those offenses. He was the guy. He's only eclipsed 1,000 yards once. He's never gotten more than 5 touchdowns in a season. So I've never been in on George Pickens personally. I don't think this move impacts or changes anything in my rankings. I think it could help. I think you said it backstage. It could help Dak a little bit.
Oh, it helps Dak exponentially compared.
I mean, it's sorry to the cow. It's still the Cowboys. Like,
well, would you take Brandon Cooks or him?
Well, I'd take Pickens over Brandon Cooks.
Well, but that's the whole point I'm making. That he's filling in that number 2 role at this point to be the number 2 for that particular team.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the teams that the Steelers as a whole have never been a pass happy team, especially since they grabbed, Arthur Jones, who hates the wide receiver to begin with. So it's one of those things for at least the last year or two. They have always been in the bottom 20s of passing to the wide receiver. That's why he's been at those numbers. He could increase a little bit in Dallas, but to be fair, they just changed over everything there anyway, so it could be a little bit different there as well with Schottenheimer, running things.
Well, so let's talk about that, Kendall. Not always Arthur Smith offense, run first. Not always a pass happy team. We as of today, it's Mason Rudolph and Will Howard in the quarterback room there in Pittsburgh, unless Aaron Rodgers shows up or some Kirk Cousins could wind up there. We haven't talked about Kirk Cousins. It is very possible Kirk Cousins winds up somewhere this season. Maybe not week 1, but he winds up somewhere.
Yeah.
If an injury occurs, I think it's anyway. So Kendall, the DK side, obviously now he was brought in to be the number 1 over Pickens, but now he's the only one left. So where do you see DK Metcalf in Dynasty, not in redraft, in Dynasty?
In Dynasty, where is DK? Okay, a couple things. Generally, I'm out on him. I'm pretty done with DK. In terms of like, if you look at ECR and like Fantasy Pros or whatever, I'm just giving you like my take against the market because I don't have all of my rankings fully settled. I'm kind of figuring that out just a little bit. I'm going to bet against him any chance I get, though. It might be a fine redraft play, but I don't like that he's turning 28 this season. He's never been a nuanced route runner. He's had time to develop. He hasn't. He's won through physicality, but he never developed a nuance to his game. I think a lot of that is just he hasn't been surrounded by decent enough quarterback connect. He had Russ for a little bit, but I just don't think he really developed his nuanced route tree. He really made the deep ball work, but I just don't think he ever developed enough in other areas to level up to a higher tier. he makes me nervous as a 1 because, well, he's physically gifted. I don't think he's a player that can just burn you. And I don't think the way they're going to play offense over there is going to lead to a tremendous amount of fantasy points. I can see the touchdowns helping him, but I think he's going to need a lot of fourth quarters to help him out. The Steelers can win just by brute force. I mean, I like their running game. I think they can run through the air with Warren a lot. I mean, I think the running backs could just dominate a huge amount of the overall offense in a way where DK won't be treated as a 1. The passing game just won't be enough. In the same way that DJ Moore is occasionally like, we've been upset that he's not getting enough because the Chicago offense is neutered, right? That's what kind of hurt Rome the most, was just the offense isn't good enough to support enough pieces. My worry is that he needs to have 12 touchdowns to be super good. And I don't think that offense is going to produce that for him. So I think he has a safe floor, though. I mean, impeccably safe floor, right? So, like, his value has a stopgap to it. He's talented. Well, I mean, think about it. The Steelers are good, not great.
I agree with that. His floor's safe.
They're a 500 team. Half the games they lose, which means half the games are coming back in the fourth quarter, which is not bad for a guy like DK. You know, it's not horrible. So, like, I have him as a mid wide receiver 3. I have him at wide receiver 29 right now. But he's definitely moving. But, like, I have Ibuka ahead of him. I have Olave ahead of him as a younger guy. Here's the thing: Waddle or DK?
Waddle.
Waddle.
The fact that even if you had to think for a second, it's gross, right?
No, it's Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I expect DK to have a season similar to what he had last year. Last year he was 992 and 5.
I'd take Jerry over DK. That's probably a more criminal example.
Judy?
I would take Jerry Jeudy over DK Metcalf. In Dynasty,
with who at quarterback?
Insert quarterback.
Which player are you talking about? Neither of them have quarterback.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So it's interesting you brought up Chris Olave because, sorry, is there anything anyone else wants to mention on DK? Or
no, I'm not drafting him anywhere.
Isaiah asked quite nicely, though.
I know. I will get there in just one second. I think we just talked about him, so I want to bring this question up here. Breaking Ball, who's always been a big supporter of the show. We appreciate you being here for these drafts. What are we thinking about Chris Olave this year, coming back from concussion and durability concerns? Mike, I'm going to start with you, but I'm going to add something to Breaking Ball's question. Are you also concerned about quarterback?
Yeah.
Piece? More so than the concussion and the durability, I'm concerned with the quarterback piece. Are you also concerned with that? And what does that mean for Olave's outlook this season and the next couple in Dynasty?
I own him in Dynasty in my big leagues that I enjoy playing in, and man, it is hard to figure out what to do with him currently. He is such a talented wide receiver, but it's so hard to figure out what to do with him. They only have Brandon Cooks and Rashid Shaheed on the roster, besides him, so it's not like they have a ton of weapons. Foster Moreau's still there, Juwan Johnson's there, and they now have a new coach with Kellen Moore. So there's a lot of change going on. But Kellen Moore in the past has always been, and his particular system tends to run through the wide receiver 1. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where I feel comfortable, but it's a real big question mark when you have Derek Carr unknown on what's going to be on his season. If Derek Carr was playing, I feel a lot more comfortable with him as my quarterback than I do with a Tyler Show, who at this point might be the one taking over at this point, because I see no other situation that I can think of that Carr is playing based on the news that we're getting. It seems it seems like he's not playing this year.
No, it very much looks like Tyler Show. If they were saying his name correctly, we should find a pronunciation guide if somebody wants to Google that real quick. Yeah. His mother would be very upset with us here on Mother's Day weekend. But it does seem like he's going to be the guy, regardless of what Carr's status is. I don't believe Carr is going to be healthy for week 1. It doesn't sound like he will be. So my concern with Chris Olave is this. In Dynasty, I'm like you, Mike. I own him in a lot of places, and I own him in my main Dynasty league. I'm concerned that the Saints just have 2 issues. Number 1, you've got a brand new head coach who wants to get his stamp on the team and get his guys in, and that's as most head coaches and new GMs do. Number 2, their cap situation is fucked.
Oh, they're horrible. They're at the very bottom.
So they are in a horrible position, and they don't have valuable assets to get rid of to get contracts off the book. Alvin Kamara is old. Derek Carr is on his most likely his last NFL contract as a starter. I imagine him going somewhere as a backup, but I don't think he's a starter at the end of this contract. I see the Saints as a team that are in the Arch Manning sweepstakes because of the historical perspective. How do we say the last name? Yeah, go ahead. How do we say the last name? Shuck?
Yeah.
Like
Tyler Shuck.
Oh, well, that changes things in a big way.
It's so weird because I'm looking up how to say it, and it's like it looks like cough or even show. The correct pronunciation is shuck, like all shucks.
Whoa, that's gonna be
or shuck corn.
We'll have to find some fun creative nicknames for that young man this season.
Oh,
yes. I've lost my train. I think the Saints are going to be in the top 5, drafting a quarterback next year.
100%.
Kellen Moore is going to want to get his own guy in there. Tyler Shuck is probably not the answer long term. I think he's fine. I think he's a big kid. Like he's going to be durable. But he's a bridge. He's a bridge. He ain't a franchise quarterback. So I think
weird to call him a bridge.
I mean, this is the NFL.
The definition of a bridge is more of a, it's a vet.
This is what they do. This is what they do these days. So my concern with Olave is, yes, he's the wide receiver 1, but is there just going to be too much transition to really produce enough consistency in reps and in game play with the same quarterback? I think he's going to volume his way to a decent season, but I don't think it's going to be a season where you're getting a top 24 finish out of him. I just don't see it.
It's hard for me to see it. And honestly, with the injury concerns, one hit, it don't matter where, like every play, if you're watching him, you're going to be sitting there going like, like he's a fragile being at this point. I mean, he's getting up there with the Tuas of the world and even more, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's get to Aza's comment here, and he did have a question, and then I know Evan Gonzalez had some. It's less of a question; it's more of an interesting comment, which I think sparked some discussion. So let's get to Aza's comment, then let's break down the draft, and then we will get to Evan Gonzalez here. So Aza would like to know: do you guys think what happened? Oh, you pulled it up. Sorry. Do you guys think that Colston Loveland would be a good equalizer for Caleb? And I don't see how we can not let Kendall answer this particular question.
I know, right?
So Kendall.
All right, Isa, I'm trying to figure out which Isa also help us out, man. I don't want to like be
Shuck.
Yeah, we just got Shuck.
yeah. Give me a little phonetic guide here, my man. Leave us a voicemail once we get a phone line going on here. But all right, Colston Loveland, and then right after he says and Bird in there too, right? So good equalizer. Brings him back, give him some weapons. Here's what I think. I think I talked about Phil about this the other day. It's my. You had a very, very striking chord here. I don't think many people are talking about this, but let's see how crazy I am on my deep dive. I think that the tight end position, when it comes to I'm not a Madden player, but for all the like Madden video game gurus who are good at that game, this is kind of for you, because I think I'm going to speak your language here. Okay, Ben Johnson is an elite level play caller. How do you become an elite level play caller? You probably spent a lifetime on it. You've probably drawn plays in a notebook in grade school. Okay. I think he's that guy. I think he's Andy Reid. I think he has a deep understanding of how to not how to take talent and get the most of it. It's more of a head coach thing, but how to scheme up a very elite modern offense competing up against modern defenses. I think that's his thing. I think he went and got Loveland because he needs a certain level of athletic pass catching tight end in order to maneuver the defenses like a chess piece to make his plays work. And we didn't have enough of a chess piece on the board to make the opposing team do what he needs to do to open up the rest of the offense. He needed it like he needed Laporta to unlock other weapons. I can't prove this. I'm not an NFL guru, but I'd like to get there one day. I believe Ben has a plan for it, and it's why he needed it. I think it was always going to be one of the tight ends there. I think it would have been some other value, but I think he didn't just make that pick out of, we kind of got sniped at running back a little bit. Here's our plan B. I think this was always, if we can take the running back here, we will. If we can't, we're always going this direction, and we'll find some value at it with another wide receiver later on. I think he was going to draft somebody, if not Burden. That just fell to him a little bit, so that was made up for the running back situation. The point I'm trying to make here is I think that it's a cog to make the whole engine work. It's not a pro Loveland take. It is a very, very pro Caleb take. And it's just, I trust that Ben Johnson is using this as a distraction. I think Loveland is going to be more of a decoy. Laporta caught a lot of, where is everybody? You guys remember that? Remember the over the top, like 40-yard, like what's happening?
Oh, yeah.
I think those plays were designed to, if you don't respect what I'm doing, you're going to pay for it one way or another, and that's how it would happen. And then year 2, we said, don't draft Laporta because they're going to take it away, and they burned you with JMO. And Ben knew it was going to happen that way. I guarantee you he knew that's how the NFL would respond to Laporta being good, and he still found a way to make it work. That's why I think that, yes. To answer your question, yes. Yes, Luther Burden and Loveland, I think, unlock everybody else. It's better for Caleb. Swift, you get lucky. But I do think it brings everybody up, but it spreads it around, so it's not negative. It's just a good offense for everybody. Caleb's the winner.
I agree. I say you brought up Swift. I just want to really quickly mention Isaiah Pacheco and DeAndre Swift, in my mind, were 2 huge NFL draft winners. Absolutely massive winners, because I expected both the Bears and the Chiefs to take a running back to start getting more of a committee. So
everyone had Henderson going there. I was really shocked at that.
Yeah, I thought Henderson anyway. So I think they're big draft winners. Let's talk about the board. I know we're getting closer to time here, and we've got a couple questions still to get to. So I think we'll start here with James Searless's question. What team are you liking the most? Why don't we take a quick glance and then pick some teams that just kind of stand out to us. We do this all the time. So for those that are new to the show that haven't seen us do a mock before, when we do our Friday night mocks, we break them down. We generally give some type of a grade, and we kind of talk about the build and the structure of why we like the team. So let's each of us just pick one group, not your own group. I don't care if you love your team the most. Let's pick someone else's group, because obviously we're asking folks to invest some time with us. And let's see what we think about their teams.
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Mike. Who stands out to
you? So one team that I like is actually Bruce over on the 112.
Can you highlight his group so that we can just see it there real quick for everyone? Perfect.
So I mean, honestly, I love the draft and how it all kind of fell to him a little bit. He was able to get Puka in London, Devontae Smith. Great wide receiver group right there. You can't go wrong. Going with a rookie as, his first running back, and ended up getting some good value on the way back with Chuba Hubbard. I'm a big fan of Chuba Hubbard in this particular offense. I think he can do well moving forward. Jameson Williams, we'll see what happens in this offense. He's still the number 2. With Ben Johnson out, it might change, but he's still going to be involved. He's still a pretty I think he's a very talented receiver. So you're getting good value in the 6th round with him. Tyler Kraft has taken over that Green Bay tight end position, and he's a young kid. Works well with Jordan Love, even though it's a lower, pass offense, lower pass volume, I guess.
Yeah. I
love the Herbert pick. I'm really shocked Herbert made it all the way to the 8-1, to be quite honest.
Right.
I'm very shocked. My original plan before I had Burrow land in my lap. I was looking at Herbert as an option in the that 7th, 8th round spot. So
I almost took Herbert at the 7-6, but because there were so many quarterbacks still on the board, I thought there's still enough value. But yes,
but you had a great pivot to Bo Nix. So honestly, I'm good with that. So I mean, like, Herbert was a really good value pick here. We don't go a bunch of rounds for this one, but even with Tajay Spears and Mims, I think both guys have a good chance at targets and have a good chance at being a good part of that offense. And Penix is a great pick at that around that spot. I wouldn't mind that at all. He's definitely going to be a starter this year.
Love it. It's Tucker Kraft and not Tyler Kraft.
Sorry.
Mother's Day weekend. We got to respect the moms, because they would be very upset.
Boy, man.
Very upset. So
I always get their name wrong.
For those that were around for our best ball season, Tucker Kraft was my number 1 drafted player on my rosters last year, because he was free, because he was on IR. I took him everywhere in best ball. And for those that don't know, I was 0.17 points away from being in the top 12 of the King of the Desert contest, playing for $3 million.
That's awesome.
I finished 13th place in a 6,000 person tournament last year.
That's
Tucker
so cool.
Craft was a huge reason why my team. I also had a huge Lions stack. My Super Lions stack with some Eagles in there, so I had some big time guys. But Tucker Craft helped me to get 13th place, and I did cash quite a bit of money. So thank you, Mr. Craft. I appreciate you. Kendall, what team stands out to you and why?
Can't pick your own. I like my team the best, though. I made like 5 mistakes that are like gonna eat at me, and I'm actually gonna have a hard time sleeping because I'm a little embarrassed. I didn't have a cue that was better. I had so many.
This is why we do the mock draft.
Yeah, if I had a minute-long clock, it'd be my team by a country mile. It's still my team though, but I can't pick my own, so I'm gonna pick actually hometown guy. It's not because you're hometown though. You, I didn't like your last 2 picks, but I love your draft. Victorious is getting it for me for sure. Yeah, nice. I like his draft a lot. Talk
us through it. Talk us through it in
okay,
2 minutes.
So generally, it's probably one of the younger drafts, just straight up. I mean, just look at the picks, and generally, you're going to get an idea of it's not all rookies, but it's young themed. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Andrew's a little bit older, but I tend to punt tight end, and that's fine. It's stable. We'll draft 1 year, 2. We'll figure it out. No problem, right? I like that. Where we got Hurts in the 5th. That's fine. It's way better than me taking Drake May in the 6th. So we got a premium quarterback a little bit late, I think, past ADP. That's fantastic. I like McCaffrey in the 4th. McCaffrey going next to James Cook is fantastic. If we don't win this year, McCaffrey could be the number 1 running back. If he's not, he still could have a good season. He's still got tradable value if he's productive. So he's not an old vet. Yeah, there you go. We're right there. So it's a combination of we don't have to spend up at running back later on. Right, we're fine there. We don't have to spend stupid capital to fix that. We're super young on our top 3 wide receivers. Pickens went a little bit later than I think he probably should. It's just balanced, young, and it spent the right capital at the right positions. And I like that he started 2-2, gave him the freedom to do whatever he wanted, and just took good value. It's very much how I draft. Is a great draft.
Nice. Right on. I also, his team did stand out to me. I did like his team. Mike, if you can put an FMTR's team on the screen, this is a good group in my mind, and I'll tell you exactly why I like this draft. Number 1, the 108 hard spot. You kind of have a shorter turn coming back around in the even rounds, obviously, but you're still kind of in the middle of the board here. It is tight end premium, 0.5 point. So to get Amon-Ra at the 108, I think that's value, even if it's only 1 extra pick. 100%. That's a great value. You're getting a bona fide wide receiver 1 who can easily finish in the top 5. His floor is a wide receiver 1. He's not going outside of injury. He's not going to finish outside the top 12. So you're guaranteeing yourself that. You've got Ladd McConkey, who I think has the potential to get into that next tier. I don't know if he can get in the top 12, but I think he can for certainly get into the top 15, 16. And then Rashee Rice, we'll see what happens with his suspension, but he is the guy. And then the young player, Emeka Egbuka. We talked about Loveland, so I don't want to go through that a ton. Devontae Adams gives you at least some security from an older vet if it takes Egbuka a while to get going. If Rice is suspended, you at least know you've got Stafford's top target and a touchdown threat. So I love the receivers in this room. And look, I think the reason I like this draft is because the running backs are old and you know what you need. So if you want to trade, you know you're trading for a running back. If you're going to ride this team out, if you have some ceiling performances from this group and you're a playoff team, you know what your draft picks are going to look like next year. So you're clearly targeting. You've got Colston Loveland. I think Loveland's going to be good. I'm a little higher on Loveland than Kendall is, and I think I'm a little higher on Loveland than not the market, but I think he's going to be a solid player and a good fantasy asset. So to me, you've got someone you've locked down that position with. And look, Mixon and Kamara we talk about this all the time. You guys hear me say this every single show. You play Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window. That's what's left on these guys' contracts. That's probably what's left on their NFL viability for like actually being, starters or at least real players there. Connor as well. But for 1 season, they're going to score a ton of touchdowns. They're going to have a lot of value. So you've got great youth in the wide receiver room, which is normally how I build my teams, which is why this one stands out to me. You've got some older vets that you can rely on for high volume touchdowns. Kamara's a pass catcher. Mixon's going to be fine. You're going to get touchdowns out of that running back room. And to get Kyler in the 11th round, I'm not a huge Kyler guy, but you could do a lot worse for your last pick of the draft in a 1 quarterback league. So I like the group. I think there's a lot of pieces in a dynasty league to build around, and you very clearly know what you need to improve your roster to take your team to that next level. So, yeah.
You know what I would have done in that with his team just to make it a little bit better, just a smidge better, in my opinion? I would have gone Najee over Connor, and I would have gone Warren over Jones, because then
interesting.
And I would have done that just because
Najee had a 1-year deal over Connor, re-signed for 2.
Yeah, I can't get there with that one.
The only reason why is I think that Harris has a better chance of doing well in that offense, with Warren doing well in his offense as well. They're both younger. Connor is a very solid back. I like him a lot, but I don't know. I like Harris just a smidge better.
Connor was RB10 last year.
Connor was the RB10 last year,
and he's the
dude.
guy. He's the I can't get there.
RB.
I can't get there. The Warren over Jones pick I can make some sense of.
Yeah.
I would rather have James Conner in a 1 year. I think this is Najee's last year in the NFL.
I'll take Mason over Jones for sure.
That's my spicy take.
I did like that. I was actually going to say Mike's draft, his first 4 picks are so damn clean. Like, they caught my eyes so quick. They were just, it was nice.
It just
I like Aiden's a lot too. Aiden had a similar build in terms of, like, he got Baker super, super late and just took value the whole draft. I don't know why I didn't go to his a little bit early. I think I would have done something slightly different at running back, but Aiden's looked kind of nice the more I looked at it too.
Let's grab a couple questions here. I think we've got why don't we get into Aiden Max White here. We were talking about value versus talent, versus opportunity in an earlier question. So the question he has is, would you put more value on a back like Chuba then because of the extension? So that's obviously a 1B question to the 1A. I see Kendall shaking his head no. I see Mike nodding his head yes. I didn't really want to talk about Chuba, but let's go ahead and do it. So Kendall, you have 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, if I got 30 seconds, take
you got 30 seconds.
The team's trash. I don't invest in running backs. I don't care about the contract. I don't like backs in bad teams with bad offenses with a head coach that's going to change probably as fast as the running back. Trevor Etienne could be the starting running back next year. I know he's got the contract. The coach is going to change. The quarterback might change. I mean, he might not, but the team's not good.
You think Canales is going to be out?
Not because he got fired, man. I think he'll stop believing in God by being in the Panthers. I mean, the franchise doesn't have to work.
There.
I think he's there.
10 of your seconds.
Okay, fair enough. I'm still going to put it out there. Okay, I'll put it back to you guys. 1 through 32. Where do the Panthers rank offensively?
I mean, they were probably dead last or within the last 4.
29.
I'm just going to say Pacheco's life got saved because they're a really good team that keeps winning, and running back's a luxury. Okay, that's the only reason he's still fine, because they got other things to worry about, and he's just good enough. I don't invest in running backs on teams that have a lot of bad stuff going for them, because the regime changes way faster than you think, and it gets muddy, and they try stuff because they're out of the playoffs by week 8.
Mike, you liked Bruce's team the best. He took Chuba Hubbard as his RB2 with Kinshawn Judkins. Why do you like Chuba in this offense?
Chuba had an opportunity to finally get the full workload without having somebody like Sanders trying to like dip his toe in. They finally gave him the ball to actually be a part of it. Yeah, they drafted Jonathan Brooks. I told everybody last year, Brooks was not going to play until the end, near the end of the season.
Yeah.
They continued, and now, with the news that he's going to be out all of next year. I mean, this is a full another year. They gave him a full extension for another 3 years. Chuba was top 15 in full PPR last year and almost went for 1,200 yards on the ground and was able to be top 15 in receptions as well. So, I understand he's going to be on a bad team, if you will, but he was one of the more productive backs last season with more than 250 touches. I mean, the guy was he was 12th in touches in running backs. I mean, the guy did very well with what he had. His yards per average were 4.8, which is right around the average where you want to be. I mean, come on. Stop talking down on something on a bad team He's
Okay.
such a.
Can I rebuttal? Can I rebuttal?
I'm gonna tie break it because I'm a big Star Wars guy.
You know, Miles Sanders had a good year one time too, right?
It's a trap.
No, it's not a trap.
Here's why it's Here's why it's a trap. Here's why it's a trap. It's a trap. Here's why.
No.
You just said it, Kendall. Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison. I brought them up earlier. Number 2, they just drafted a wide receiver.
They extended him after the injury.
They just drafted a wide receiver 8th overall. They brought in Rico Dowdle, who is a better running back than Miles Sanders is. He's a better running back than Miles Sanders. Rico Dowdle was competent at times on, you want to talk about bad offenses last year. So
competent.
Chuba's good. Yeah. Chuba's a talented running back.
Chuba's good, but again, I think Chuba hit his ceiling. I don't see Chuba getting inside the top 12. That's not his ceiling. I think he's in that 15 to 24 range. That's where he's going to finish. So if you want him as your RB2, that's fine.
Oh yeah, I don't want him as my RB1. No, he's an RB2.
I don't even want him as my RB2. I want Chuba. If I have Chuba on a roster, and I don't, I want him in the bench where I have to flex him on bye weeks or, God forbid, in case of injury. I think he's going to score some touchdowns, but Canales wants Bryce Young to get better. His job depends on Bryce Young getting better, which means Xavier Legette needs to take a second-year leap, which means Tet McMillan, the 8th overall pick in the draft, needs to contribute right a frickin' way.
What about Coker?
Exactly. Yeah. Next. So, again, they don't have much, but I think there's more options than just going through Chuba. So, all right, let's move. We had a question that I wanted to get to here. I guess it's more of a comment, but where did it go? Evan Gonzalez.
McCarthy.
We got to do more of these debates, man. We're
Evan Gonzalez says, I made some amazing trades to get some cornerstone starters, but the cost of these trades has left me with a relatively empty bench. Trying to figure out if I should wait to try and draw out some bench pieces from waivers and the rookies I've got, or to dissolve one of my starters to get a deeper bench. Kendall, let's start with you. Would you rather be top heavy, or would you rather be a little bit more balanced, which is really the root of this question, when it comes to your dynasty roster?
So there's 2 questions here. 1, what should I do with my bench space? And 2, did I do the right thing? Or vice versa. That 1, you did the right thing. I don't care what format you're in, because you've given yourself options, and those options allow you winning strategies. 100%. When you have a full bench, you have to take value negative trades in order to get back into a profitable situation. That's nuanced. I'll get to that in a much more later videos. The whole point is you can pick up players for no capital for free on waivers. Particularly 4th round running backs tend to have the highest hit rate late. So if you clear your bench, pick up every, shot you can at running back, and you might struck gold for absolutely free. It's fantastic. Other thing it allows you to do is make trades. One thing you can't do, one thing I did this year very successfully, is I made sure to parlay and grab a lot of extra 3rd round picks, because I knew it was going to be a very good running back class, and I knew a lot of them were going to be good situations. Who knows who they are at running back, but they're going to be a good situation with a lot of aging vets with space behind them. Those 3rd rounders turned into a lot of Jaden Blue, a lot of a lot of get-ins, a lot of folks that I like quite a bit. With that space, you can now take not a premium player, but you can sell somebody who you don't need for much, but you can start selling for thirds. You can pick up thirds and grab thirds. And so going into next year's draft, you can have a lot of late picks in addition to your free agent acquisitions for free this year. And between your dart throws for free this year and your very value-centric trades that you can make into thirds next year that are just sort of for free on the side, you're going to give yourself a lot of free lottery tickets to hit a few Pukas and Bucky Irvings. You only need one to give yourself a free 1st round value that no one else really has. And that's definitely a way to win and a way to build a winning window. That's the winning strategy that you're doing.
Mike, would you rather have a deep bench with some options, because we know that football is an absolute bloodbath of injuries and you're going to need those guys, especially in a dynasty format where you're not redrafting every year?
Yep. Or
would you rather shoot for the moon and have the highest ceiling with your starters that you could possibly get?
So normally what I tend to like to do, I like to not have I honestly pretty much mortgage my picks for players, for debt. So I will do what I can to, use my draft capital for guys that have done well and, that have been productive. And I try my best to find those teams that, are willing to let those guys go and, do my best there. Otherwise, then I pivot to Kendall's method and, pick up guys on waivers. I have no problem with trying to sell off a guy for some depth if needed. It's based on the type of league and the format. I have a salary cap dynasty league that I do that all the time in because it's worth it. I'm in the process of trying to sell Tyreek Hill. It's nothing.
We all are.
Yeah. So it's more, and it's not even more for the actual talent of the player. It's the cost of holding him. Could I afford to hold him? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
But would I prefer to get two other players that are at lesser value of Tyreek to kind of equal out what Tyreek could do? Of course, I would rather do that. I had a trade in place that I'm trying to work out with the guy, and it's my 2 seconds, which are the 201 and the 203 this year, and Baker and Tyreek for Drake London and Rashid Rice with Brenton Straton thrown in there. I'm trying to get something like that together so that I can get two very solid but questionable wide receivers to fill my void, and it would work out a little bit better in my opinion, because then my roster is a little bit better off because of cap and a few other things. So, little things like that I am always trying to do at one point or another.
Yeah. So here's my thoughts. I will say that Kendall classic Phil in that area. What a homer this guy.
I just super chatted him on the side here. I just actually Venmo'd him about 20 there, so no worries.
Let's look at we've got Travis Lynn. Appreciate you, Travis. Victorious, appreciate it. I think
as soon as Frank complimented my team, I know Phil and Mike just ran to see who traded who traded who.
Yeah. Where's my? I usually get some love in this chat. All right, I want to read you this roster. Okay, and I think this illustrates the point for Evan's question here. Okay, this is a 2-quarterback league, 4-point passing, touchdown, obviously 6-point rushing. Right.
Okay.
Half PPR. Josh Allen and Jordan Love. Bijan and Gibbs, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride, and here's my flex options: Achane, Cook, Pacheco, Olave.
Oh shit!
10-team league.
The rest of it, 10-team league. The rest of it, I'm not even going to bother. Luther Burden, I got as a late rookie pick guy. He just kept dropping. I've got some other rookies on the taxi squad here. This is my main dynasty league that I just read you. Kendall, you and Mike, you guys know this. I've won this league 2 years in a row. I have no depth.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of guys. I've got basically one receiver and 1 or 2 running backs. But my ceiling is the highest it can possibly be in this league, which is why I've won it twice in a row. So here's why am I saying this? This is not to brag that I've won the league twice in a row. It's what I'm saying is the reason I bring this up is it illustrates Evan's question of this is a ceiling performance team that has no depth. But what can I do? I have such high ceiling with Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors that I could sell them. So if I need to get depth, if I need to rebuild this team, and at some point I will need to rebuild this team, I still have appreciating assets, not depreciating assets, where I can get, Kendall, multiple first-round picks out of these guys that can then start to rebuild that depth for when eventually this team starts to implode, which it will. That's what happens in Dynasty. You cannot be, everyone's, I can redraft, you can win the league every year.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot win the league every single season in Dynasty. It's just not, sure, you can win it once or twice, maybe if you're lucky 3 years in a row, but at some point, your guys age out, you get a bad injury season. We all know that things are going to happen. That's fantasy football. That's the name of the game. But what I want, Evan, to answer your question directly, is less concerning to me is how high is my ceiling versus what's my depth? How valuable are my players? That's the answer to your question. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to sell somebody to rebuild, or you're going to have to ride guys until they just Tyreek Hill, till they ride off into the sunset and they're just worth nothing at the end, which eventually means you don't have anything left anyway. Right? So I would rather have the most high value players that I can get to give myself either the best chance to win or the best chance to get the most high value picks to rebuild the team. That's how I would approach it. So I understand the conversation about depth. I understand the conversation about ceiling, but Kendall and I talk about this a lot when we do our shows kind of in the summertime. It's a currency. Draft picks are your only currency in Dynasty. That's your money. If I have higher value draft picks than you do, I have more money than you do, I can buy more expensive players. I can trade to acquire more expensive veterans. It's just the way that it works. There was a guy in one of my leagues this year who had 7 picks over the 3 rounds of the draft. He didn't make one trade. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he would take. He had 4 of his 7 picks. 4 of them were second rounders.
Wow.
You could have taken the 107 and a second or 2 seconds and gotten into the top 3 to go give yourself a high ceiling rookie, give yourself the best opportunity to give, an immediate impact player, but also to go and get, someone whose value should hold, right? We expect Genty's value to hold. So I think it's an interesting conversation. We could go all night on that one, but lots of different takes. So I think, guys, that's it. Let's finish with this one. It's not really a question. Leaf 05. Yeah, let's go 5 more minutes and then we'll wrap it because the show's running a little long. Leaf 05. JJ McCarthy not getting drafted in a startup dynasty league where JJ, Addison, and Hawk are getting picked is baffling to me. So first of all, it's only 5 rounds. Excuse me, 5 rounds. Sorry. Leaf, I'm looking at his name, Leaf 05. It is 11 rounds, so I would assume JJ would have been drafted. Most dynasty rosters are 25 to 30 deep, so he will get drafted. He's just not going in the first 11.
We did about 35% of a normal draft.
Yeah. My question is this, because he didn't ask a question. JJ's basically a rookie. What is your outlook, Kendall, for him in dynasty? Because we know that this quarterback class, we believe, isn't very good.
2026?
No, the one we just drafted.
Oh, yeah.
Cam Ward and Shador and Tyler. What's his name? Shucks? Tyler Shuck.
Yep.
So,
he's almost as old as we are.
Which is not good. So what is your outlook on JJ?
Look, it's tough. I still treat him like a rookie. I mean, he practiced and stuff, right? So I have to give him that benefit a little bit. I'm debating in my head how much of a bump I need to give year 1 or 2 training in the NFL. I don't have a lot of historical comps for it, but the comps that I've looked at are pretty good, which I don't like because I don't like JJ. So everyone knows I was on the Drake May side. I said anyone who's taking JJ above Drake May is crazy. I said Drake May he's got enough Herbert that he's worth the risk, and I'm printing on that one, by the way. All you guys who are out on Drake May, the Patriots, crushing you right now. But JJ, look, I like his legs more than I like his passing, right? Like I like JJ the prospect as someone I want on my team, not because I'm like, ooh, JJ's good. I'm like, ooh, fantasy is a cheat code. It's not the NFL. He's an athletic quarterback that can score with his legs too, and he has insane weapons. Like he's set up to be pretty good, but I didn't like him. I didn't like that he threw about 10 passes a game in college. I didn't like that his team was way better around him. He was not nearly the best player on his team by far. That worries me. That worries me a little bit. You know what I like about LSU and Ohio State? Them wide receivers, they are the best player on their team. Like you see what you get. I don't like that. I don't know what I get in JJ. I don't know. He seemed to be carried by everyone else around him. Caleb Williams was real good in college, right? Struggled as a rookie, and he is a way better prospect than JJ. Way better. I mean, phenomenally better. So actually, if you were disappointed with Caleb, why do you think JJ is going to be like way better? You can tell me his weapons, but you cannot tell me on paper he was a good throwing quarterback in college. You can't tell me that. He just wasn't.
My issue with JJ McCarthy is the same today that it was a year ago. We just don't know because we haven't seen it. You brought it up, right? Like Jim Harbaugh's offense at Michigan. I think he threw 18 passes a game.
Yeah. It was a rush heavy. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I get it. People like the film. They like the athleticism. Like they're asking him to make all the throws, and he can make all the throws. He just hasn't done it at a volume level. So I will say this because I said it last year many, many times, and I'll say it one more time. If you believe in the talent of Justin Jefferson, Justin Jefferson is going to bring JJ McCarthy along, right? I think Rafi just put it in the chat. Has Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, like Sean McVay, has a proficiency for developing players that he can get the most out of their talent, and they can be excellent players. I think you're going to see JJ McCarthy be a lot like Justin Herbert. I think it's going to be efficiency. I think it's going to be efficiency driven.
When the pressure's
I
on
don't think
for picks?
I don't possibly. I don't think that possibly because again, he hasn't done it. I don't think they're going to ask him to do too much too soon.
No.
And when you have Justin Jefferson, I think you're going to give him high value, high efficiency, high completion rate throws to just keep the thing moving. And if you can burn him over the top, great. But I think it's going to be, let's get 12 yards a clip. Let's get 15 yards a clip on these throws. We got a great running game. We've got multiple weapons.
Can I throw something at you?
Yeah, he ain't going to throw it 52 times a game.
I want you to answer it, though, because you're running with this. I don't want to take the take here. How concerned are you that he has good weapons around him, right? Like elite weapons. Elite weapons are expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning if he's not good, they're in so much trouble. I mean, buried trouble, right?
What do you mean?
Why are you paying Justin Jefferson?
Because
TJ, they're offense heavy. If the guy giving the ball to the offensive players isn't good and you're spending millions of dollars on the people that get the ball and you can't get to them, as an owner of that, as paying for that, I am not happy. And I'm doing something fast because I'm not paying Justin Jefferson $2 billion to not get the ball thrown to him. I mean, I have no leash. I have no leash for JJ. Zero. JJ gets whatever JJ wants.
Figure it out.
Because if McCarthy sucks, JJ's gone. He will say, "No, I'm winning a ring." He's not going to take.
But remember,
not want to win a ring.
He can. He just signed the second biggest contract in wide receiver history.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. They're together for the next 4 years.
He can't go anywhere. JJ.
No, JJ's staying. That's what I'm saying. JJ decides who plays.
Justin Jefferson is staying. Here's why I'm not concerned. Okay, because that's what the NFL is doing now in terms of a model because of the salary cap.
100%.
If you look at the last couple of years, the model has been go pay the best defensive, go pay the best offense, whichever the GM decides the team needs the most, and go get a rookie quarterback. Because the rookie quarterback on a cheap deal allows you and frees up that cap space to go and pay guys that you can't pay. This is why I believe the market and the cap space number continuing to rise every year.
It's a good argument. It's a very
is what is depleting the quarterback position.
I was glad you put this up too. This is a good take.
This is exactly
like,
if this is going to change my mind, this is what's going to do it. Because
here's the issue that I have.
Value.
There is no fucking reason that Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa deserve to be paid more than Patrick Mahomes
100%.
or Joe Burrow or any of these quarterbacks, but because the market said I have to pay them now, and this is what a going rate for a quarterback is, that's what they get paid. So to bring it back to JJ McCarthy, I don't want to have to go and pay, sorry to people that believe in Tua and Trevor Lawrence, I don't want to go pay an average QB2, a QB1 salary when I can go pay Justin Jefferson, who I know is the best wide receiver, or fine, Jamar Chase, but who is easily one of the best two wide receivers in the league.
We'll give it to you.
I don't want to go and pay. The Niners haven't paid Brock Purdy.
Well, yet. Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to because I think the Niners,
really?
Yes, I'm a Niners fan.
No, you're
so
paying Purdy. You're paying
I don't think so. I don't think so. And here's why.
Wow.
Because I think they can franchise tag him to figure it out. Because again, the same point I just made, is he worth a Tua Tagovailoa, a Trevor Lawrence type contract?
Are you guys want to spend that kind of money though?
No.
The franchise tag does not work for most teams, man. That's like a thing that bad teams do.
Quarterback.
They tried to trade him to Tennessee.
Yeah, but if you really think about it,
they tried to go and get Cam Ward.
Yeah, but think about me and you in dynasty trades, right? There's levels of I don't care how desperate I am. I don't do this because it's bad trades, bad philosophy, and it's bad management, right?
They'd be better off cutting them.
Franchise tagging a quarterback most of the time is bad management. It looks ugly in terms of a 10-year window. If we don't do this as an org,
I don't know, man. I think that maybe they're not going to franchise tag him. Maybe they'll pay him, but I don't think they want to pay him top of the market dollar. I think they're trying to get a more team friendly contract. Brock Purdy's.
I think they'll get it though.
I think
Purdy seems like that dude. That's like, dude,
care.
You think I care about money?
So
no.
What's the contract?
Parents season tickets, dude.
Are you thinking of like a Sam Darnold contract?
I think it's a contract where they have some outs. I think it's a 4 or 5 year deal, but
like
it's
a
2
Sam
years.
Darnold versus Purdy.
I'm saying
Sam Darnold's. I think there's going to be guaranteed money up front with ability to restructure and get out of it. Because at the end of the day, The Niners have two problems right now. Number one, they have a quarterback problem because how much are you going to pay him? Number two, they don't. If we had to play football today,
no, you would.
There's not even 11 guys on the field. Like we only have like 7 guys.
You lost one of your best D tackles. Actually, your 2 best D tackles.
Yeah, Rafi Baker contract. Baker contract's accurate. I like.
We don't have enough guys to play football, so it's like the Niners got to. That's why they haven't paid Purdy, because they still have to put 53 bodies in the dressing room there to actually get this thing going. So
Purdy's going to be better. You take more talent away from that team, Purdy's going to he's going to get better somehow. I'm just calling it. He's good at
let me paint the picture with this, because I'm staring at him right here on my screen. Jordan Love.
No.
Jordan Love had a good season. He had one good season. He had an okay season last year.
Overrated.
The Packers did not get Packers did not get 1 ounce of value out of his rookie contract because of Aaron Rodgers.
That's true.
So they had to pay a player who they had basically never seen play a real football game and only practice. And that is a difficult thing to do. Whereas you've got these guys, JJ McCarthy.
Dynasty's fun, man. Dynasty is so
get out of it.
If there's a lesson, any of you guys that aren't just like in 20 Dynasty leagues, go get in. Dynasty is so much fun. Even watch, we're the broke experts, right? Go watch all the top end experts, not have any fucking idea of what's happening, because it's a very, very intense game of very fine margins with philosophy, and Dynasty's just the best.
If you guys want to have fun with Dynasty, one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite leagues that I'm in is my Dynasty salary cap league. It is crazy just to work with that,
though.
Our group chat is 75% of our group chat is
it's just me
trying
throwing
to
out
mathematically figure out Mike's trades.
Some of that is I also, by the way, I did make that trade for Justin Jefferson today.
Oh, nice.
And you guys, I missed it, but I came back to the group. I had 43 missed text messages in the group chat when I went to
I got out of that.
By the way, quick plug, guys. If you guys super chat us like, hey, I want to I'm trying to do this trade. We will have, we'll forget you paid us, and we'll spend a day and a half just because we want to win the trade like it's our own team. So please tell us the trades you want to make, because we have no lives and we just want to win these trades and dissect them to the nth degree. So send them in, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Me and Phil need something to do, and Mike has to fight with me about something,
It's true. We will be, I will not be here next week. I am off to Arizona next week with my buddies for a golf trip that is long overdue.
Jealous.
That I have. Yeah, we have put this book on the
Will you
books.
send us a picture of it? Can we thumbnail it? Can we thumbnail you playing some golf?
No, you cannot. I don't think it's going to be. I mean, maybe. But,
I'm
so
going
if
to
you
call
guys want
Phil's
to do
buddies and have him take some camera.
No, we
Phil
might do
the
a
golf
show.
course, and we're going to show some of that.
If you guys want to do the show next week, please do the show. I will not be here.
Might.
Actually, won't be here the next couple of Fridays. I've got some traveling coming up. This is the summertime, and then, but we will be getting into Friday night mocks here pretty soon as we get into the summer. So please stay tuned. If you are not subscribed, jump into our channels. Obviously, the Get Right Fantasy Network, but please jump over to the Extra Point and the Fantasy Football Tavern. It helps me and Kendall's own individual brands. Obviously, we are part of the Get Right Fantasy Network, so please subscribe there to us as well. I think at the end of the day, we've got a great following. We're super excited about what we've got some new stuff coming out this fall. We've definitely got some stuff on the docket for you all to continue to keep folks involved. But yeah, it's going to be another great season, man.
Boy.
I know.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe that we'll be announcing in the next few weeks of, once we get everything settled in. So, keep an eye out for alerts and stuff. Make sure you guys are checking it out. We'll definitely be back next week. I'm in the mood to do a lot of mocks, and if we can get it in next Friday, we'll try to do that. Maybe a super flex dynasty, and do a couple more rounds or something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, and we haven't. I mean, I only have. I'm just looking at my leagues. I've got our dynasty, our Scott Fish dynasty league. We haven't done our draft yet.
No,
I've got one other draft that actually also is at the end of the month, 21 days away. We'll get started. So I know not everyone has done their dynasty draft. So go back and watch our shows, listen to our content, take a look at the big board that you see tonight, because the rankings will change. It will shape how you draft. It will shape how you trade. It is, as Kendall likes to say, it's a market. Assets are rising, assets are falling. That is exactly how Dynasty works. It is very much a market. So be in the trends before your league mates and competitors so that you can get those championships, man. That's what we're all about. So,
and Trump's not here to change all that. So we're okay.
Well,
we're good.
We made it through a whole show, Mike, a whole show.
Hey, anybody that was in this draft or has buddies and leagues in this draft, by the way, if you guys want a reaction to video, if you want follow-ups, just message us. We want to do more content. We've got a lot of off-season stuff. We're about to drop some videos, probably explaining some cool new things that are happening. We'll probably talk about in the live stream, but just know you guys help generate where our content goes. We're definitely a community channel that's based on this small, tight, very cool, like draft degenerate mock community, you know? The content is for you guys. If there's new people come in, that's great. We're going to take care of them, show them a lot of love. It's a fun game, but it's really for you guys, right? So like really like reach out, like we'll do stuff based on what you want. I'll do a quick breakdown of this, like with either guy or just on myself for a quick minutes. If you just want a quick 5-minute, 10-minute breakdown of your draft, just message us, reach out to us, let us know what we can be doing to bring content and value to what you guys are doing. We're trying to change our content schedule and what we're doing. There's a lot of stuff, but it's based on, we don't have like 10 million fans, but we have like, 200
solid group.
Awesome community members, and it's a fun community that we really enjoy. So we want to create content based on what is valuable to you at this time of the year, but we kind of rely on you guys telling us, if that makes sense. So please let us know. We got kids and lives, but we're going to rearrange them to help you. Just let us know as soon as you can what you want to see.
Well, there you go. So for all of us here at the Get Right Fantasy Network, thanks for spending another Friday evening with us, and we will be back next week. Mike, Kendall will be running it. We'll look forward to dropping some information into the channel of what the topic is going to be, whether it's another draft or whether we're going to go through some rookies, risers, and fallers, maybe a trade. We haven't done a good trade show in a while, boys, so maybe dig up some of those trades. But we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, as we've mentioned several times, and we are always super excited to have you all here. Head over to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button for us. It does help us continue to grow, and as always, we appreciate your support. We out.
Wanted to white fantasy is the play, marking off and